I really like the countryside and I am fascinated by these things. I mean, I feel an attraction for that if you understand me. From a very young age, I started like this and with a little bit I am advancing there. It is rich in antioxidants, it has a very high percentage of water, it is 98%, it is a delicious fruit, it is the queen of fruits. The soursop belongs to the Anonas family. Annona muricata is the scientific name of the soursop. It is said that we have approximately 40 species, where only 3 of them are edible. We are talking about the soursop, the cherimoya, and the sugar apple. The others really bear fruit, but they are wilder. Annonaceae are a family of trees or shrubs, sometimes climbing, characterized by green color, entire leaves that alternate with each other. Flowers can be found solitary or in groups of 2 or 3. There are around 2,000 species and some are used for food, for their edible fruits, others are used for the extraction of oils and spices. The origin of the soursop is from South America, since several countries report in the literature, including Ecuador, the origin as such, no, it is not very well known, but if they are all over South America we already have both wild crops and commercial crops. The soursop is a native species of tropical sites in Central and South America. It adapts to different topographic and environmental conditions, ranging from 0 to 1,400 meters above sea level. For this reason it supports different rainfall and relative humidity, giving it this tree a greater capacity for adaptation and turning it into a great producer when its flowering phase ends. This crop has several stages, because it is a long cycle crop. We start with the entire part in the seedbed, which is the germination of the seed itself, which can take about 7 months, from the first germination to the last germination. When I started at home with 1,000 avocado sticks and around 3,000 or 4,000 coffee sticks. I was making progress. A year ago I was in the municipality of Fresno, Tolima, and those crops, I began to bring this variety. The soursop seed has a period of almost 7 months, that is, it begins to germinate after 20 days and the last ones are germinating around 7 months, they are born one after the other. I have been germinating 3 or 4 kilos. The transplant here to the bag, but first the bag is disinfected, with hydrogen peroxide. When the root is very long, what we call capar or root pruning is done. When I transplanted it 8 days later, I applied a DAP and I still apply foliar fertilizers and every month a little fertilizer with DAP, because DAP contains a lot of phosphorus, it produces good roots. Some rooting agents are also applied. Already in nurseries we bring them to the field approximately 70 centimeters high, and after that we leave them 3 months in the nursery where we already take them to the field. This is a social project, which was born as a result of the climatic changes that the area has presented. The importance can be described, I think, in 3 that would be, which is an exportable crop, we are seeking to diversify crops as such and agricultural reconversion. What agricultural reconversion? These were clearly coffee-growing areas due to climatic changes. As I mentioned before, coffee has been moving to higher parts, and in these parts, in these areas, they have remained very depopulated from the crops that they were taught. An alternative was sought, seeing the profitability and the demand that the soursop has at the moment. The soursop crop was thought of.
The
cultivation of soursop reaches the municipality of Sonsón as a diversification alternative to enter new markets. When making the decision to belong to this business, it is essential that when starting the cultivation, the land is loose and well drained. Likewise, a good depth must be had to be able to carry out an ideal sowing. This translates into a good root development. Well, now we are going to proceed to planting. We already have our hole previously prepared with lime, mycorrhizae, and 2 kilos of organic matter. What are we going to do? We are going to slit the bag, very carefully, without breaking the roots or collapsing from the pylon, so that it will damage us. We are going to pull this little piece of land. We are going to look for a wand that is going to help us tutor the little soursop tree, since this was very big. What we are going to do is that we are going to nail it to a little side. And we can tie it, or we simply leave it like this so that it continues to grow straight, and in a few months to do training pruning. From the field after we planted its first harvest, it takes 24 months, which would be the entire vegetative stage of the crop. It is a robust, woody tree that can reach 3 to 8 to 9 meters in height. Its branches and leaves are green, of a bright color. The flowers are hermaphrodite flowers. They have 6 petals, 3 on the outside and 3 on the inside, fleshy and yellow in color. After we went from the vegetative stage to the productive stage, the flowering part begins, the formation of fruit, which also takes another time, which is from when the first little flower comes out to when the petals fall. They are approximately 6 months in this whole process. After the petals fall, which is the moment when we begin to bag, there is a stage that is called, or we call it, the little soldier, which is where the soursop turns a dark brown color, and it stays like this for 45 days. After those 45 days it forms a hedgehog. What is a hedgehog? Where she already takes out all her tips. The soursop crop has numerous pests, but if there are some that are more limiting, among them we have in the early stages of the crop, we have the lace bug or green parrot, which are very limiting. They are sucking insects and therefore they deteriorate a lot. The soursop leaf, we also have the soursop wasp. We have seed borers, which enter the interior of the soursop and pierce the seed, damaging the quality of the fruit. That is why the bagging and the bag that brings fungicides and some insecticide are used to prevent this type of attack. Soursop, also known as graviola, custard apple, Brazilian and Catuche is very popular in several European countries, due to its delicious flavor and its important contribution to nutrition. It contains sugar, vitamin C, starch, potassium, iron, phosphorus, magnesium, sodium fats and a large amount of water. In different countries, this fruit is given an important medicinal value, due to its contribution of acids and proteins. After that little soldier or that fruit that is there as if asleep, wakes up, what is done is that it begins to form like the soursop, and it is there when we proceed to bag. From the bag to the harvest we are speaking approximately 3 to 4 months, depending on the climatic season. If we are in winter, or we are in summer, if we are in winter, the fruit comes out much faster, because the tree has available water, but if we are in summer, the fruit can take 4 months. The soursop is a fleshy, juicy fruit, and the characteristics of the soursop is that it is bright green, and has some points, the points that are longer when they are small, and as the soursop grows they disappear a little, but nevertheless, they will always be there. When it reaches its maturity the soursop turns from bright green to matte green. After the hedgehog is formed, we were counting more or less 3 to 4 months, depending on the weather we have at that time. If we are talking about winter weather conditions, the soursop fills faster, but if we are talking about summer the soursop takes a little longer due to the percentages of water. Small producers are fundamental, they are fundamental, because not everyone has the same area, the same availability of land, that we are doing the work with them hand in hand, where we are aware that they have 100 to 200 trees or 50 that we are talking about a crop that is profitable and that later on will generate a good income. In the same way, these areas are for people with limited resources. We are working very hand in hand with them, because really the small producer is always the one that is left out of all the projects and everything is trying to work hand in hand with the small producers. Strong, she looks very healthy, Wilmer is very well, so he already knows what we are going to apply here, ready, whoever we see, we will scrape and apply it. The people are very happy, it really is something very new, not only for us as a municipality, but for the peasants. So what are we doing? We are creating a school, where we are all learning, searching. We investigate on the internet. We search in other municipalities, where they already have large commercial crops, and we have made tours to get to know and learn a little about them. And the change is really good. You can see the lively people, they have an illusion, they have hope of having something. It has been very interesting, very beautiful. How big are the bags you are using? 30 centimeters long by 15 centimeters wide. We Sonsoninos are very thriving, very forward, the quality of the people, very kind, very formal, the size of this region, I don't know, I feel attracted to it. Export markets have created new possibilities of expansion for small producers, venturing into them is difficult, since it brings with it a number of necessary conditions for its sale in other countries. For this reason, few small producers are venturing into this market due to doubts and fear of change, but with the support provided by different state entities, soursop producers in this region have become great generators of employment. Here in Sonsón we do not have drip irrigation, because we still have slopes that exceed 50% and they are removed from the tanks and all those things. So a very expensive infrastructure would be needed. which what is done, takes very long times of drought. What the peasants themselves do is go out to irrigate, with their pumps, with their buckets. The whole family leaves, because it is something that is done as a family. So the husband, the wife, the children leave, and in the afternoons they irrigate, and really the biggest crops if you have to wait for it to rain. In commercial soursop crops, we are talking about 24 to 36 months. We are talking about approximately 3,500 kilos of soursop per hectare, reaching its first production peak, which would be between months 86 and 96, where we would be talking about 17,000 kilos per acre. Regulating the development of the tree and making a constant selection of its branches is of great importance to obtain a very good production, with a high quality of the fruits. Pruning is of great benefit to have a profitable crop with adequate sanitary conditions. Its efficacy is based on defining the dimensions of the tree, facilitating the entry of light, an adequate distribution of fruits, greater quantity and size, avoiding the aging of the tree in reducing the spread of pests and diseases. Next we are going to do a single-axis training pruning. What are we going to do? We are going to have our shears. Many people like to use agricultural iodine. I don't like it that much. I like the clear one better, because it acts faster. What we do is disinfect the shears. This is done because from tree to tree we can have sick trees that can transmit diseases to us. With a single axis, I can control the luminosity of the tree. As I mentioned, it is a tree susceptible to anthracnose. If I have a tree where the wind circulates everywhere, I will not have humidity inside the tree and I can avoid the problem of anthracnose. What are we going to do? We come and take our little tree and we are going to cut it. Previously we have prepared a mixture between vinyl paint and a fungicide, in this case using cobrethane, which will help us seal, and that no type of pathogen will enter us. Next we are going to prune a tree that is multi-axis. Talking to several of my colleagues who work in soursop, they do not highly recommend having a multi-axis tree due to the humidity of the tree. This is going to make the tree more covered and we are concentrated among the humidity. What we are going to do, we are going to cut all the branches that are facing up as it is. We are going to proceed to heal. Vamos a proceder a cicatrizar. Listo. Atrapando bien y nos podemos retirar ya. We continue with the sanitary pruning. In this case we are going to do it on an already very old soursop tree, in which we did a renovation. That what we are going to do, we are going to try to eliminate all those old diseased, dry branches so that the tree has a better light. This is what will help us so that our tree does not have a very high concentration of humidity. We are eliminating all these shoots, eliminating diseased branches and branches that go far to the ground. Esto lo que nos va a ayudar es que nuestro árbol
no tenga una concentración muy alta de humedad. Listo. Vamos eliminando todos estos brotes, eliminar ramas enfermas y ramas que vayan muy hacia el suelo.
It is getting ready with the sanitary pruning, where we are eliminating branches that are not productive, dry branches, because as we can see, the branches are already beginning to notice flowering. We have to have the free tree clear of non-productive branches so that the flowering is much better.
Para que la floración sea mucho mejor.
The soursop fruit is characterized by being oval in shape. It can measure up to 40 centimeters and weigh several kilograms. A great attribute is its bright green color, surrounded by thorns that decrease as the fruit grows. The pulp is white with a large number of seeds, a smooth juicy texture, and a pleasant sweet flavor. The current demand from several countries around the world makes it a good source of income for small producers and makes it easier for them to expand their crops and enter export markets. I believe that everything in Colombia is beautiful. I like to get to know and learn the cultures of other regions, which can serve me in the region where I live. Well, I want to invite not only you, but all the people who see us to eat soursop. It is a spectacular fruit. It is a delicious fruit. It has anti-cancer properties. And not to come to Sonsón to see everything we have here in Sonsón. And that they fall in love with Sonsón as we do.